It's been said that today's children are tomorrow's leaders, so it's especially important for parents to set good examples for their children. Psychiatrist Dr. Anthony Ferrioli is here now, and this is a wonderful time because, sports are getting underway, and you've got basketball and everything else. So we're talking about parents, we're talking about coaches, we're talking about caregivers.
All three, because when we're dealing with children, we have two roles. We have the agenda that's at hand, got to win the game, got to learn the lesson, got to go clean your room, depending if you're the, the coach or the teacher or the parent. But you have another agenda if it's a child, which is the emotional and physical welfare and nurturing of that child who's still developing.
And there's a big difference, too, between, say you have leadership skills because you lead a team at work. It's very different than leading a team of kids.
Very different because, again, at work, these are your peers in terms of emotional and physical development. We're adults. So really it's about the first item, which is the agenda at hand, the content. You got to get this, you got to win that, you got to clean this up, you got to do that. With children, there's that second agenda, which is we are caregivers to them, whether we're the parent, the coach, or the teacher. So we're always having to consider the emotional nurturing and development of that child.
It's also an opportunity for them to learn responsibility and learn the right way to treat other people.
That's right. So for example, if my agenda of telling the child, clean your room as a parent now, goes ahead of my style of how I do that, I may actually be in violation of the boundary of that kid. So if I say to that kid, come over here right now, go clean your room right this second, my content may be correct, which is the kid's got to clean their room. But number two, the other part, the style or the process of how I just treated that kid was a boundary violation. I am now training them to either be victims or perpetrators of that same style. And that's what we have to think about with kids, which with adults is a little different.
Well, and you mentioned keeping them on the proper level.
Yes.
You don't want to treat them like they're, your colleagues.
Exactly.
But you also don't want to treat them like they're your best friend when they become teenagers.
Exactly, because again, if the child's my best friend, then I've elevated him to a peer. We're not peers. I often use my hands, not just because I'm of Italian descent, but because it's important. So parent or teacher or coach is up here. Child is here. And this should never get mixed up where we parentify the child or reverse the roles, because now my agenda comes first, whether it's that I need to yell at the kid or I need control over the kid or I need to win this game or I need to teach this lesson plan. See, now I'm the child because I've now become the one who says, I come first. My agenda comes first, and the child now comes second.
And you know where we see that a lot of times? On the baseball field, on sporting events, where the coach says, acts like a child.
Right.
And they're not modeling the right behavior for the other kids.
Correct. Coaches, teachers, they have to consider themselves adjunct parents to that kid. So if I'm your coach, I'm not just the coach of some professional baseball team or even some college baseball team. I am actually a caregiver to that child. And if I don't have the emotional competence, and that can be learned, by the way, you don't have to be perfect. I'm not perfect, I do this for a living. But if I don't at least try to have that emotional competence in dealing with a child, I shouldn't really be their coach, their teacher, frankly, or their parent, other than biologically. It's a skill, it's got to be learned.
Dr. Anthony Ferrioli, thank you so much.